Oh boy. Peyton, how are you today?
I'm doing good. How about you, man?
I'm doing good. We got some bad news.
Uh-oh.
Michael is no longer with us. Just for today. That's the way I want to phrase that.
He is done.
He is done for the day. He'll be back next week. And we already miss him, don't we, Peyton?
We do.
Yeah.
Man. But I love his chair over here, man. He's got a chair with armrests.
You know what?
What?
He doesn't even sit in it.
I know. He stands the whole time.
I don't like that. I don't like it.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm just going to throw this out there. This is the first week we haven't had any technical trouble. I'm just saying.
Oh.
Shots fired.
Oh.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're listening to the show and you have Alexa, all you got to say is, hey, Alexa, play Adobe Radio, and then boom, Adobe Radio is playing.
Boom.
And I want to thank, real quick, our new sponsors on Patreon. I see you. Our new reviewers on iTunes. I see you as well. Thank you for the 5 stars. We appreciate you. And if you're listening to this on Adobe Radio every week, we appreciate you as well. But also, if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can watch us. Wesam's World there. We're also on iTunes, Spotify, so you can catch us on the go, wherever. And remember, the show sometimes goes beyond the hour mark. And we're only allotted an hour time slot here on Adobe Radio, which is great. But you can download the full episode if you want to continue listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or watch it on YouTube. And we're also on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. Wesam's World. You can find us. I don't like saying like the actual link because people can just search nowadays.
It's Wesam's World.
Wesam's World.
It's not hard.
Nope. It's not hard at all. And there's no other Wesam's World.
Exactly.
Thankfully.
There's only one.
There is one Wesam's World on
there's
Twitter,
another Wesam's
and I
World.
tried contacting him so many times, and then I wrote something to Twitter, couldn't get anything out of it, so we have the underscore on
no.
Twitter. But you'll know it's us. You'll know
Right.
it's us. I'm really excited to talk to our guest today, Nikki DeLoach. I haven't talked or seen her in quite a long time, and she's been doing great things in acting and also great things in her philanthropy work, I guess you could
Yeah.
say. She's doing the Walk to End Alzheimer's this November 2nd here in Los Angeles, but you can, wherever you are, you can participate in it by creating your own walk. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, her acting career, life, some current events. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great talk because I like her. She's a good person. And also, her husband is awesome as well. He's my attorney.
Oh.
Yeah, small world, right?
There you go.
There you go. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give it up for Nikki DeLoach. Welcome. Right here.
You are just the cutest.
Hello.
Right next to you?
You're right next to me.
Amazing.
These are your headphones. You got your level there if you need it. Water. You brought notes. You're the first guest to ever bring notes.
Really?
Yeah, I'm super stoked. I love how prepared you are.
I'm a little bit of a nerd, so
That's okay.
especially when it comes to this stuff.
What does it mean to be a nerd nowadays? Like you're passionate about something?
That's what it means. But I've been like that my whole life. I was Georgia Reader of the Year when I was a kid, and I read more books than any other kid in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
And I lived with my head in books whenever I was a kid, and I was very proud of being a nerd.
Do you like Chuck Palahniuk?
I don't know. I haven't read
Okay.
any of his stuff.
Okay.
Why?
One of my favorite authors. And if
Really?
you love authors and the creative process and
Yeah.
about pushing boundaries and creating emotions or visceral feelings in people,
Yeah.
whether they be on one extreme or the other, oh my gosh. His interview with Joe Rogan on oh my gosh.
I love Joe Rogan. I love his interviews. He had a great interview with Bernie Sanders recently that I thought was really good for Bernie to do.
Yes.
Joe Rogan, yeah.
I was a little surprised at that because he's kind of
Totally.
bashed him in the past a little bit,
Totally.
but then getting all that cleared up and everything.
No, I think it's really important. I think you have to sit down with people who support you, but also people who have questions about you or suspicions about you.
Right.
The only way to get clear on it is to sit down and talk to somebody. So I thought that was a really important interview he did. But I will definitely check out his books. I've heard so much about him. I just haven't had a chance to read him yet. Amazing.
Choke is good. Obviously he wrote Fight Club. I don't know if you knew that. Yes.
That's right.
The ones I recommend you start off with, it's about a 15-year-old girl or a 13-year-old girl's journey through hell, like a modern day Dante's Inferno.
Oh, goodness.
And it's
a 13-year-old girl?
Yeah, she overdoses
called
on
getting your
marijuana.
period.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Your life is over.
This was one of those few books I read in a single sitting on an airplane.
No.
Yep.
Oh, I love that. I'm about to fly home actually on Tuesday to go. My dad has another round of testing that we have to do. My
Gotcha.
dad is the one with dementia. And so I'm flying home to help my mom with it. And I'm so excited because I'm flying without my 2 kids. So I was literally looking through the stacks of my books that I've been waiting to like get my hands on. And I'm like, which one am I going to read? I don't know. There's so many. Yeah.
That's a full-time job, first of all, being a parent. You have 2 kids.
I have 2 kids. Bennett just turned 2.
Wow.
And Hudson is 5, about to turn 6.
How's Bennett doing, by the way?
Thank you for asking. He is doing great. So I've started this new thing after this. So he's had 3 heart surgeries, and the third one was about 2 months ago.
Okay.
And each one of them, obviously, they're so difficult, but if you can kind of open yourself up, then you grow a lot through the process and you become a different person, which is a really beautiful thing. And what I mean by different is you really, really learn the things that matter and the things that are important when you've been to the show, the life or death show. And in this last surgery, I had this, I was having this resistance to it, and I was kind of in denial, and I'd never been in denial about Benny's situation ever. My husband, yes, it's harder for men. But I realized after the surgery that the thing I was in resistance to was the fact that this was our lives. At any point in time, they could check out his heart and they could be like, you know what, we got to go in, we got to fix something. And then you're in that world, and then it's preparing him for that and getting him through that and then getting him healed after that. And I had to come to this place of just full acceptance that like, hey, this is our lives and that's totally okay. We're so lucky because we have the best heart surgeon in the world, actually, at Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, best pediatric heart surgeon in the world, greatest team. We have the finances to be able to, support him. There's a lot of families that don't. I mean, most of the people at CHLA, they're not coming in like us with really excellent insurance. And and I think that there was a surrender that happened in that process that allowed me to kind of say, you know what, his heart looks great today. This week, his heart looks great. I don't know what next week will bring or the month after that. I think if we get too ahead of ourselves and like what our lives are gonna, if we start futurizing, that's when the anxiety sets in, and that's when the panic sets in.
Right.
So it was a real gift, this one, to kind of learn that. So today, his heart looks great. Yeah,
That is so good to hear.
it's so good.
I got to ask you, though, that's probably one of the biggest obstacles in life is that surrender.
Yeah.
That surrender to the things you can't control.
Yes.
And accepting a perspective that will create a positive result for you and your family.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to stay in that negative perspective because
Yeah.
it's there and it's right in your face.
Yeah.
And it's this big ugly monster. And your mind starts playing that let's go down the most that path of sometimes the most unlikely scenario, and it's like all you can think about.
You follow the fear, and that's what can happen. Yeah, and I think the mistake is, the thing that I have learned about fear is that it can be your best friend, and I think we're so scared of feeling those feelings that we try to be in resistance to them, which is why surrender is so impossible. And this is true for anything, whether it's a job or a relationship or, there's fear that comes up, anxiety and worry and panic. And what I've learned is that fear has to be your best friend. You have to pull it in really close. You have to sit with it. You have to be like, because when fear comes up in your body and you start to feel that, the heart starts beating faster, the stomach kind of feels a little, wonky. It doesn't feel like strong. It's your body's way of saying, wake up and pay attention and get really present because the foundation of your life is shifting.
Oh, my gosh. This reminds me exactly what you said. This Buddhist practitioner, she's a woman. She wrote a book called Feeding Your Demons.
Ooh.
And I'm like, oh, that was interesting. So I picked up the book,
Yeah.
started reading through it, and she starts off by telling the story of how this one, they call him Boda Hezavita. I know I'm
Oh, yeah, yeah.
butchering
Yeah.
it, but something like that. How she, I believe it was a woman, became enlightened. She turned herself basically, there was demons attacking her. She basically turned herself into bread and honey, I believe, for the demons, and she fed herself to these demons. And so at first you're like, whoa, what is that about? But it parallels exactly to what you're saying, surrendering, living with the fear, experiencing it, not trying to block it off or anything. And our animal instinct is to, do that.
Don't feel that. Don't feel that.
Right.
But I have to say, I would have to sit, like literally sit with the fear of, okay, so what happens if this surgery pushes, or what happens if he gets sick and we can't do the surgery, or what happens, like sit in that and breathe through that. It's the only way through, because really all it is your body's just saying like, hey, it's time to pay attention. Things are happening, so get really present. And if you start thinking of it in that way, then fear doesn't become an enemy, it becomes your friend, and it's way easier to surrender.
Do you have any spiritual kind of foundation that helps support that surrender?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, for sure. So I've always been a person of faith since the time I was a child. My earliest life memory, actually, was when I was 3 years old. And I remember actually feeling the presence of God. And I choose to call that this collective beautiful energy that we all, swirl around in. I choose to call that God. Everybody has different terms: universal energy, consciousness, awareness. And I remember feeling that so deeply at 3 years old, the unconditional love of that. So I've always been very connected to source. And then whenever I got in my 20s, I really dove in. And yes, lots and lots of books. I was lucky enough at 25 to have this woman come into my life who has been my greatest spiritual teacher and mentor. And she's the one that's really helped me, especially, with all of Bennett's stuff. So I found out about my dad and Bennett in the same week. So when Bennett was in my belly and we found out about his heart, that he had congenital heart defects, we had also just found out about my dad and his diagnosis.
Yeah.
So it was like 5 days apart.
Oh my goodness.
And I went to her, and obviously I was like, I was in shock. I didn't know how to begin to even process anything. And she told me, if you can have the courage to move through this with openness, and that means standing in the pain sometimes. I mean, Bennett would come out of these surgeries and he would just be like for 2 days in so much pain and crying, and they would have to strap him down to the bed because he would yank his wires out of his body. And like, so it's really intense. But if you can have the courage to stand in that and breathe through it, and also know that this too shall pass, then that's the stuff that like really grows you, because you are strong enough. You are capable, every single one of us. And also, whenever you're in that's where like the magic and the miracles happen. That's where you feel all of that stuff. People show up. These crazy little small things and big things happen all along the way, and you see them and you get to bear witness to them because you're open and you're present. So I think she had a really huge impact in my life. I also have this great person that you can follow online, actually on Instagram. Her name is Julie Elizabeth Day, but you can follow her at Practical Mystics. And she was another one. She was the one who really got me into meditation in my late 20s. And I did all of her meditation classes, and she's been a huge teacher and a great resource. And she's kind of one of those people that if you're wanting to enter into meditation, or you're starting to kind of like, question that or even do therapy or work through big questions in life. She's got such an openness and such a love about her. She's the least judgmental person I know. So you can follow her on Instagram and kind of like check her out. And she has a podcast now that's amazing called I Woke Up Like This. That's cool. And it's obviously double meaning because like it's like I woke up like this today. This is how I'm arriving today, but also I woke like WOKE, like what was your moment of awakening? And so she talks about that with people, and it's really cool.
Man, I am so glad you're here today because
I'm so glad to be here.
I love these kind of talks.
Me too. It's my favorite thing to talk about.
And to share it with people who are like, to give them strength as well. My uncle back home, he gave me some of the best piece of advice, and it really strengthens me during some tough times. And it's very similar to what you said. He said, God never gives you more than you can handle. And no matter how tough the situation seems, just remember you're just a little bit tougher. And I'm like, oh, whoa. Like that, because he's like, it wouldn't be fair for you to get something that you couldn't handle. I was like, well, that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah, it's true. I do believe that's true. That's great advice
I know.
For anyone to give someone. And also, I feel like it's also why we have community and why community is so important. I think the thing that I've learned about is so many people walk through their pain in isolation.
Yeah.
Because we've been taught as society that, like, don't be messy, put the smile on the face, get out there. And when somebody says, how are you? Say, I'm great. How are you? We haven't been taught anymore to be honest about where we are in life or where we are with ourselves. And I find that like the more I started opening up and talking about this stuff, and it goes back to my first kid, and I had suicidal postpartum depression with Hudson.
Oh my goodness.
And hid it from everyone. I was on Awkward. And I had Hudson, and for that whole, I didn't kick it for like a year and a half. It was a very long time before I felt like I was getting right again.
What? Sorry, just because I don't understand it exactly. Postpartum depression, is that when the baby's not,
so you have the baby, and then you, some people call it the baby blues, but there's different, it can be more or less severe. Like sometimes for women, it can be 2 weeks of just feeling really depressed and sad and crying all day. And because what happens is you have a baby and all your happy hormones leave you with the baby. It's a very dirty, gross process, but we won't go into it today.
Oh, okay, yeah,
audience.
I know, whatever, yeah.
Like all of your happy hormones and everything leave your body, and depending on how your body reacts to that, what ends up happening a lot of the times is if your body doesn't replenish it, you dip into a state of depression. Wow. And for some women, I've talked to women where it's lasted up to 3 years, but I went through it and didn't tell anyone, and almost died in that darkness. And so what I learned through that, and I think that was preparing me, obviously, for what I went through with Bennett and my dad, is you have to talk to people. It takes more courage to be honest about where you are and what you're going through than it does to, put on your big girl pants and just say everything's fine. And I'm hoping, especially with podcasts, is why I love this format. You're getting to have conversations, which is a lost art, first of all. It's a beautiful thing. But also, on a lot of these, you're talking about things that actually really matter. And people listening on the other side are like, oh, well, maybe I can talk about the stuff that scares me, or I can talk about the stuff that I'm going through right now, and somebody will listen. So that's the other thing, is community. When you're going through this stuff, God is not going to give you anything that you can't handle, but sometimes you also need help.
100%.
And the way in which everyone around me showed up to help us with all of Bennett's stuff, it literally brings me to tears almost every single time I think about it, because, you come to Los Angeles, and I'm from a small town, and that was just that was available to me all the time. But I never in my life imagined building such a beautiful community here. And we did. And we, our whole family is better for it going through all of this, because we had so many people show up.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
Very lucky.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
So in that time period where, Bennett was diagnosed with the heart
Right.
stuff. Your dad gets diagnosed. Did you get properly diagnosed, or is
Properly,
it,
like properly diagnosed. So
Sorry, were you noticing
knew.
symptoms
I knew.
beforehand?
Yes.
Okay.
And I was trying to get my mom to the table to try and get him tested. And, she was just like, he's just, he hates his job, or, he's just tired, or there was always something. And I think this is very common. I hear it a lot with people's stories of like, we knew something was going on, but like we didn't think that it was bad until it was bad. And then, or we knew, we kind of had an idea, but we just were like, oh, maybe they're just getting grumpier because they're getting older. And my thing with people was like, and I've learned this with my son as well, if you have any instincts, follow them. Follow them. They're there for a reason. Your body is your teacher. It's your greatest teacher. And when something comes up inside of you, listen to it. And so I was telling my mom for actually a couple of years, I was like, something's really off with Dad. I mean, he's forgotten my birthday 3 years in a row. My dad was the first person to call me on my birthday every year my whole life. He was the most even-keeled, gentle human being on the planet, so kind. And he was angry and, didn't want to be a grandfather to his grandkids. And I mean, like, such like weird behavioral personality swings. And I was like, Mom, this just doesn't happen. It doesn't. Like, something's going on with him. And then finally, the Christmas before she made the appointment, I always give my mom a bunch of Christmas stuff on behalf of my dad because he doesn't know what she wants. So I go out and buy it, and then he just gives me the money back. And every single day, sometimes 3 times a day, he would walk into the back room when I was home for Christmas and open his checkbook and say, well, how much do I owe you? I was like, Dad, you already paid me. Oh, okay. And I went to Mom and I was like, no, you have to make an appointment. So we called the Mayo Clinic.
Yeah.
And the earliest appointment was 6 months from then, almost. It was like 5 months or something like that.
Whoa.
Yeah, exactly. So if you have an inkling, make the appointment, because sometimes it can take a while for you to get on the books. And sure enough, we went. It was days of testing. They do a whole, they scan and do the MRIs, and there's specific things that they do for the brain, but then they also go through rounds of testing in terms of who's the president, what day is it, what day is Christmas Day, stuff like that. And
Right.
they track their memory, and definitively came back that he had Pick's disease, which is a very rare and aggressive form of dementia. And by the way, he's 65, and judging from where he's at in the disease, this disease started in his 50s.
Wow.
Yeah, in his 50s. So just to explain, like, Alzheimer's and dementia, so there's an umbrella that all the Alzheimer's and dementia, and it's the dementia umbrella, period. But the largest category under that dementia is Alzheimer's. And then after that, the next category is a vascular dementia, and that's where people have strokes and stuff like that. Then there's Lewy body dementia, and then the smallest group is Pick's disease, frontal temporal dementias, which is what Pick's disease is. And that's like 2% of the dementias fall under that category. So it's very rare, and it is, and it's very aggressive.
Is it genetically based, or is it from...
So there can be. My dad's is not. The biomarkers for that are not really there. But it absolutely can be genetic. And you actually can go and get tested and figure out if you have the markers for it.
Gotcha.
And I talk to a lot of people about that because I've asked, working so closely with the Alzheimer's Association, I could easily just go in and get my test done.
Yeah.
I have to admit, like, I'm a little nervous. I'm a little nervous to go in and to know. And I have that conversation with people all the time who have parents who've had it. Just like, do I want to know or do I not want to know? It's hard.
Yeah.
It's a really tough decision to make.
You haven't decided yet.
I haven't
Okay.
decided yet.
That's
no.
fair, yeah.
But I do know that his specifically, they have linked to actually playing football whenever he was younger because when they played it, they had these little tiny rubber helmets. And you can see on his brain where there was damage, like consistent damage done to a specific area of his brain over and over again. And the only thing that in his life that could have caused that was him playing football.
I know. You've probably done all the research, but just for our listeners, I watch a lot of UFC. I like a lot of fighting stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, any type of boxing sport, and I see boxers, as much as I love martial arts and everything, I'm like, it's painful to watch. Or if I stopped watching those, I haven't stopped really, but I was going to say, like, I stopped. I was like, I can't lie about that. Street fight videos, do you know what I mean? Just because I'm always like, what would I do in this situation? You know what I mean? So when I see somebody just get knocked out and their head hits the concrete, I like that body chill hits me. And I'm like, oh, no, don't, stop hitting him. Stop hitting him.
Don't hit him in the head. Yeah.
I just don't think people realize how dangerous it is and how quickly life can change.
Yeah. There was a NFL, was it a quarterback recently? I'm trying to think of what his name was.
Oh, yes.
Who came out and said, I'm retiring because, if I don't now, then there'll be nothing left of me by the end of this. And I want to be able to actually survive life. And it was a pretty brave thing, I feel like, that he did.
People booed him while he was walking off.
Can you even?
And I was like, what? Where are you mentally to do something like that? Like, you're not even part of the team, first of all.
No.
You don't have stocks.
Put your body out there.
Right, yeah.
You're not getting hit. You're standing in the stands with your shirt off in 2-degree weather, screaming at the top of your lungs on like 15 beer. And that's fine if that's your choice, but don't boo somebody else for taking care of their body, for their family, and for themselves.
That's something else I want to hit you on because you have kids and the whole idea of online trolls and dealing with people. Real quick, are we good on time?
We got about 2 minutes.
2 minutes? Okay. Let's take a quick break, and then when we come back, we'll continue this wonderful discussion.
Great.
Sounds good.
Great. So, the waiting aspect with a lot of modern medicine. By the way, I'm very thankful and blessed. I live currently in this time period where modern medicine is where it's at.
Yes.
You don't know this. We're going to talk about the waiting period and what you can do to kind of relieve some of that anxiety. But I just wanted to fill you in on some stuff that's been going on with my family. My dad, a year into selling our restaurant, fell off a ladder, broke his spine.
Oh my gosh.
Thank God he wasn't paralyzed, but at the moment we weren't sure if he was going to walk again or whatever. But he was currently on blood thinners because he almost had a heart attack. He didn't have one, thankfully, but they needed to do a surgery on his back.
Yeah.
So we weren't sure if we were going to still have my dad during the surgery. And he's been rehabilitating. He's gone through rehab. He's learning how to walk again, and everything's going great. It's been about 1.5 years almost. So
wow.
I totally...
Sam, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry your family went through that. It's just, that's so hard.
The waiting was that first week when we didn't know anything. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Barely any sleep, sleeping with him in the hospital bed, my mom. And by the way, I don't remember how I got from Burbank Airport to Oklahoma.
That's what lack of sleep will do. I have no recollection of the last 2.5 years of my life.
Seriously, I
do, but like there are chunks of it, and and of course because of my dad's history, and also I lost my grandfather to Alzheimer's.
Oh my gosh!
My brain again goes to that place of like, oh my gosh, am I gonna get early onset dementia? But it's not. I talk to other moms all the time who literally have chunks of their memory erased, and it's just exhaustion. It's a really, really real thing. Sleep. Yeah. So yes, of course you have moments during that. Of course you have moments during that you can't remember because that's just it's a combination of trauma and also lack of sleep. Yeah. Because our trauma, sometimes that, like when we're experiencing trauma, our brains will kind of like shut down in order to protect us. But the lack of sleep, man, that will literally like shut us all down.
My dad obviously doesn't have dementia, but he was on so much medication.
Yeah.
He wasn't 100% coherent, and he was actually hallucinating.
Yeah.
From, like, he was like, who's behind you? And I'm like, nobody. He's like, they're making sandwiches behind you. And I'm like, Dad, no, they're not.
And also, can I have one? I'm really hungry.
But yeah, it's crazy to.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know you're experiencing a little bit of that, and I didn't. It's such a weird thing seeing like your parents grow older. It's a chapter in your life where nobody's told you about or nobody told you to prep for, but it happens to everybody.
Yeah.
And it's a kind of trial by fire kind of thing, and yeah, it just changes your perspective on a lot of things. Life's crazy, man.
Life is nuts. Well, first of all, I'm so happy to hear your dad is rehabbing and he's doing great. That's so 100% the best thing ever. And also, make sure, because he was on a lot of those drugs, to do like hardcore probiotics.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, hardcore probiotics. There's a great line of them, Metagenics. If anybody is looking into probiotics, they have a specific line that you take when you come out of the hospital. It's like the strongest probiotic you can do.
Can you write that down, Clayton?
Metagenics.
Metagenics.
But it's like the second you come out of the hospital that you do this specific line of probiotics. But that's a big thing. I do that for Bennett, because he's had to also have so many pain meds and stuff like that when he goes through his surgeries, and when he comes out, I just like try to repair that gut flora because it is actually directly connected. It's connected to everything in our body, including our brain, and including our body's ability to fight things off. Most of us get sick because we have bad gut flora. We're not taking care of our gut. So that's a big thing.
Again, Joe Rogan podcast, the sugar. When a lot of people who crave sugar, you have actually a certain bacteria in your gut that's sending signals to your brain. Yeah. That's why you're getting like antsy moods or like, no, I want some sugar. It's like it's actually a microorganism, which is bonkers to think about.
No, but it's true. Yeah. Like I've never craved sugar. I've never eaten it. I mean, of course every once in a while, but I don't eat it. I don't crave it. I've never been like, I want a donut, like never. Yeah. And I think it's because I've always I tried very hard to take care of my gut.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm almost done with a round of antibiotics, so I'm actually.
You have to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to get some of that.
Especially after taking antibiotics. Yeah. They say that as a kid, you could take just one round of antibiotics could mess up your gut flora for the rest of your life if you don't do anything to protect it. So
by the way,
big thing.
Antibiotics are amazing.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
They're necessary. Absolutely necessary. But also, like, there are things that you also have to do to, just like having the fact that Bennett can go and they can like open his heart and pull his little heart out and fix and put it back in. That's amazing. But the process is hard on his little body, and you have to do the things to like heal yourself afterwards. So it all works together. You just have to be conscious of it.
Well, both your kids are little warriors because their mom and dad are warriors. I will just say that.
Thanks, buddy. I appreciate
They've got two of the best parents.
Thank you.
And this is a shout out to Ryan. I love him.
He's the best.
I rarely get to talk to him, but when I do, he's awesome. And
he's the best.
He's like the best entertainment lawyer. So if you guys need somebody.
No, he is. The thing that he does that I love so much is that he is able to do his job and do it so well, and also maintain great relationships in the process. I think that a lot of lawyers or a lot of people go in ready for the fight, and he goes in ready to make a deal. Yeah, like it's a totally different way to go into something of like, no, we're going to come to a conclusion that's going to work for everyone, and it's going to be great. And so people like working with him, and he's a tough negotiator, and he always gets his clients better deals, but people like working with him. And I think that's hard to accomplish in our industry, and that like in that specific world as lawyers, managers, agents.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So we go off on these wonderful tangents because it's awesome to talk with you. The waiting aspect. What have you learned?
The waiting.
Yeah. What have you done? Because it's so easy just to stay in the negative headspace. When we were talking earlier about some of the anxiety I was facing the last couple of weeks, I would just stay in bed.
Yeah.
I just stay in bed and I'd be like, I just want to sleep. This is so unlike me.
Yeah.
What is going on? And so what do you do to combat that?
Well, that meant that your sympathetic nervous system was shut. So meaning like you want to be in bed. You just want to sleep. Like that's your body's way of saying like, I'm overloaded. I can't process. I can't do. I can't, it's like total shutdown mode, which might have been really necessary for you, actually, in that moment. You know, you might have been just listening to your body. But so for me, obviously, like, you know, the first surgery, we waited for 7.5 hours for Bennett to come out of surgery. And that was, as anyone would know, super intense. But also, I mean, I had to wait. I found out about him when I was 5 months pregnant. So, and we didn't know how he was going to come out. We didn't know if he was going to come out blue or come out not breathing or have like arms or legs missing, or like we had been prepared for like so many different ways in which he could come out based on his heart condition. So like that's also was a waiting. It was like preparing me for waiting. You know, what do you do in the in-between?
Yes.
Between the start and the finish of something. And what I learned, and this is, I think, where the whole practice of learning how to be in your body and knowing that the safest place you could possibly be in your body came into practice. So we, as human beings, and this is going to sound like a little woo-woo, but this is all true, and now there's science to back it up. But we mostly exist outside of our bodies. And what I mean by that is like we're running ahead of ourselves, or we're behind ourselves, or we're in our head all the time. Most people operate in their head. The safest place that you can be is actually inside your body. So I would close my eyes and I would find the place inside my body that felt the safest, when specifically with the heart stuff and heart surgeries, I could actually physically feel them working on his heart, on my heart. And that sounds crazy, but that's how connected moms and kids are. I mean, they literally have, my DNA is inside of him and his DNA is inside of me, you know? So I could feel that. So that didn't feel really safe, but my feet did. My feet, like anchoring into my feet and just closing my eyes and breathing into my feet and being like, okay, I'm in my toes. I can feel my pinky. I can feel my big toe. I can feel my right and left sides of my feet. I can feel into my arch. Oh, it's a little tight there. Okay, I'm going to get in my heel now and feel into the back of my heel, and just like only concentrate on that. Because what that actually does is it calms your sympathetic nervous system. That's the thing that goes on overdrive. That's the thing that like makes us freak out and panic.
Oh, yeah.
And if you can find a way to calm that, it's going to calm your whole entire body. And by the way, you might have to do it every 30 minutes, you know? Check back in, get back in your body, get back in your feet.
Yes.
And I work from my feet all the way up. So then I'll be like, and I'm in my calves, and I'm breathing into my calf muscles. I'm breathing into my knees. I'm breathing into my thighs. And the only thing that is really helping you do, it's just an exercise to help you to regulate your nervous system. So that's one thing that you can do that makes those moments, the waiting, easier. And the other thing that you could do, the other thing that you have to do as far as those, like, the noises and the thoughts that you think, the spinning, what the exercise I just told you helps, but also the spinning is to like follow it. Okay, so what if it is this? What if it is cancer?
Yeah.
Okay, so then what next? Okay, well, if it is cancer, then we'll go to a cancer doctor and then we'll find out how bad it is, and then we'll have to do chemo. Okay, so we're at chemo. We're there. We're getting chemo done. Okay, so then what's next after that? Like, and actually follow, it's that thing of bringing fear in, you know, and follow it. And then you'll see, like, okay, that's just, if that's what it is, then that's just what it's going to be.
Yeah.
If you follow it. But it's the unknown that scares us.
It's accepting the pain with the worst case scenario,
Yeah.
and that can be difficult.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
And we run away from it in very small ways and very big ways every single day as human beings.
The pain also that you might cause to other people, to other loved ones, sometimes is extremely great.
For sure.
I have a thing whenever, like, it's not popular between any of my family members or anybody I talk to.
You hide things from them?
No, I was going to say my idea if I know when I'm going to die or I have an inclination, I want to do like a big going away party and then just be like, give away everything is good, okay, cool. I'm going to go to somewhere in the Himalayas and just kind of die alone somewhere in like a mountain and like while I'm meditating or something. Because I don't want people to bear that burden when I'm dead. You know, see, everybody looks at me like I'm crazy, and
I don't think you're crazy.
Okay.
Actually, I don't think you're crazy at all.
Okay.
I think that like if that felt great to you, and that like if you got to that time in your life where you were like, no, this is what I'm aligned to. This is what I want to look at. This is what I want to do. This is what I want it to look like. And if that's your choice, that's your choice.
It is. I just don't want to. I know funerals and that whole shindig is very burdensome. You know what I mean? I'd rather it be like a party. Great. Don't worry. I'll be okay. I kind of know when, or like if I know when, that'll be great. Because then it's like, okay, this is all I got left. You know?
I will say though, it does rob you of the opportunity. You know, I was with my grandfather at the very end.
Oh, okay.
And there was this moment, it was like the first time I will say that I felt like I was transported to a different place in time. Like time traveled. Oh. And I was sitting with my grandfather and it was really late at night. And it was just the two of us and I was holding his hand and he woke up for the first time in like 10 days. He had just been out and he woke up and he looked at me, he was like, "You made it." And I was like, I did, because I had flown from set. I had been in Chicago filming something when he had his stroke and he was out. And I was like, you better tell him to hang on because I'm on my way. And so then he wakes up and he's like, "You made it. I've been waiting for you." And I was like, "I know you have." And we talked and we talked and we talked for hours. And I got to tell him everything that I'd ever wanted to say about how much I loved him and everything that he did for me in my life. And it's the reason why I get to live the life that I do and what he has meant to me and ask him, what can I do for you? What can I do for you? You know? And he told me what he wanted me to do with each family member and how he wanted me to lift them up. And he gave me all the secrets. And, then he told me he was tired and he went to sleep. And the day after that, he didn't eat or drink. He was ready to go. So
these are allergies.
You do rob yourself.
Oh
You do
gosh.
rob yourself of that magical moment. You know, with someone or whoever loves you, them being with you, and them having that last bit of time with you.
Yeah.
Because you know what? If you can stand inside of that, that is sacred space. Mm. And it might be painful, but it's also sacred. Mm. Yeah.
God, you're so wise.
I've gone through a lot of crap.
I really mean that. Like,
get wise or like get crazy. I had two choices. I was like, I could go right and I could try to wrap my brain around this and get like, you know, become a healthier human being, or I can lose my damn mind and never come back, like beyond repair. Like, if we had two choices, and I decided to go right.
That was the way I was talking with my brothers whenever my dad went through his accident.
I love your family. Your family is so close and so special, and your brother's so wonderful.
Huge blessings. They're all awesome.
I know.
I told them, listen, despite this accident, we're actually going to grow closer as a family.
Yeah.
And we're going to make their mom and dad's life even better despite this accident.
Yeah.
And like kind of pumping them up. And so, because I was like, this is not going to ruin us. We're not going to let this ruin us. Even if, God forbid, my dad was paralyzed or he passes away, we'll figure it out. And I'm so glad you said plan for the contingency, like the worst plan, you know?
Yeah.
And be like, cool, we sell the house. God forbid my dad died. And mom's coming living with us for a little bit. And she's going to be right next to us. And as soon as the apartment right next to us opens up, I'll go in there or she'll go in there, whatever works. We'll figure this out. It's not going to be a big deal.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They're so lucky to have you. They're just so lucky. But you operated from that place of like, look, it's not our job as human beings to be positive. It is our job to be open. Mm. And that means being like, okay, what is the worst case scenario in this? Let's just look at that okay, if it is that, we will figure it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Instead of being like, everything's going to be great.
Oh, dude.
Nothing bad is ever going to happen. You know, that's not our jobs. I mean, there is a place and time for positivity for sure. But I think the word that we should use instead of positivity is hope. It's okay to be hopeful. But you will find that hope and you will find that positivity also inside openness. Openness just allows you to feel all the things, whereas positivity doesn't allow you to feel the stuff that may not feel good. Yeah.
So when did you get involved then?
With Alzheimer's?
Yeah, with the walk or
Immediately.
okay.
So like I immediately got involved with the Alzheimer's Association because I live 2,500 miles away from my dad, which is horribly painful because my dad was he was such an amazing father, and he worked 6 days a week, but he still was my basketball coach. He took me to school. He did my hair in the morning. He took me to my voice lessons, which were 2 hours each way. He still managed to do all of this stuff in my life while also working 6 days a week. So not being able to be there for him like that is horrible. So I was like, what can I do from where I am? Because I was in the middle of about to go into giving birth and heart surgeries and oxygen tanks for 8 months and then another heart surgery. So I couldn't travel to be with my dad the way that I would have if life had given me a different set of circumstances. So I threw myself into Alzheimer's Association and any work that I could do from the West Coast there. And the walk is a big way, that you can just show up. And it's so cool. Last year, they had it at the LA Zoo, the one in Los Angeles. There's walks everywhere and everyone's cities all over the country. But ours in Los Angeles is at the LA Zoo.
That's so cool.
It's so cool. And you get there in the morning and it is the most it is just one of the most beautiful experiences I have ever had because last year I spoke at it. And I got up on the stage and I looked out into this sea of, they give you these flowers when you walk in and they're they're like fabric flowers and they're just different colors and they look like little pinwheels and you hold them when you walk and they're different colors for whatever place or stage you are in. So if you're a person who knows someone, you get a purple flower. If you're a person who has it, you get this color flower. If you're a person who's a caregiver, you get a specific color flower. And so you're looking out into like a sea of everyone just holding their flowers up. It is so beautiful. And then last year's walk, they always have one white flower that represents the first survivor of Alzheimer's. And so last year they wanted Hudson, my 5-year-old, to carry it up on the stage. You guys, I sobbed so hard in public, it was straight up ugly cry in front of thousands of people because there was this woman who had Alzheimer's who was standing right next to Hudson and she was holding up her flower and Hudson was holding up the white one and she was looking down at him with this huge smile across her face. And it's so meaningful and so magical. And then you just walk through the zoo. Kids can come. Everyone is welcome. You see the animals. So you get a free ticket to the zoo for you and your family, and you also support an amazing cause. So it's really fantastic and an easy way to get involved and to give back. And there's a lot of other things that you could do with the Alzheimer's Association, but here's why they're so important. So, we have the NIH, which is the National Institutes of Health. That is a government-run organization.
Okay.
Alzheimer's is not. So when you give your money to Alzheimer's... Oh, that was my Siri.
Oh, that was your Siri.
I didn't say it. Siri. How rude. So when you give money to Alzheimer's Association, certain research that say somebody comes to the table and it's like, we have this new drug and we got to research it to see if it's going to be able to have any effect on people with dementia or Alzheimer's. You can take that to the NIH, which is the government-run organization, and that research may not see the light of day for 3 to 5 years.
Whoa.
That's how backed up they are. It's government. That's government, The Alzheimer's Association is like, let's fund this now. Let's do it now. Let's find out now. And so your money is literally directly going into all of the things, any research that is being done in regards to the brain and Alzheimer's and dementia, all the important studies is being done at that organization. And so it's a great place to put your money. And also, if you are if you are seeing some kind of effects, whether it's your dad or your mother or your grandmother, or, they've changed, their personality has changed, their behavioral patterns have changed, or their memory is shifting, and you just like that instinct comes up. And you're like, but where do I go? What do I do? They have local chapters, the Alzheimer's Association, all over the country. Just Google Alzheimer's Association. You could type in your zip code. You will find a local chapter. Call them. I mean, my mother, she literally, of all people, she does not know how to ask for help. And I got her to call them and reach out because I was like, they're going to be able to provide any assistance. My grandfather's Alzheimer's was so different. It was like vascular dementia. And what my dad has is such a different type of Alzheimer's. We were in over our heads, and we called them, and they were like, this is what you do. This is how you handle taking his keys away. This is how you handle, the thousands of Diet Cokes that he wants to drink. This is how they literally will walk you through steps.
Wow.
I know. And they will direct you to certain hospitals and certain doctors that can get the testing that you need to get done. So they're a great source. It's 5.8 million people in the United States who are living with a dementia or Alzheimer's. And if it's 5.8 million, this is currently in 2019, every 65 seconds someone is diagnosed.
Oh my gosh. Almost 6 million people in the United States.
Yes.
I think the population is 300?
Yeah. So 6, and then also consider the families that it affects, like all the daughters and the sons and the uncles, and then it affects the whole family. It affects the whole community. So it's just a great organization to support, and you can get a lot back on your end as well, should you, unfortunately, God forbid, have to go through this in your own family.
Right.
Yeah.
This is incredible. And for anybody listening and you're wondering to yourself, you might be in that state where I want to get involved in something. This is your chance to finally do something, get involved, and for you to have some control over what's going on in your life.
Take your pain and turn it into purpose.
And it's hard to start. I get it. You want to stay at home, or you think it's not going to help. I get that. But I'm telling you, get over that barrier, show up, be part of something, get your mind focused on that. And you'll notice things are getting better.
It's so very true. I think we all want to live lives of purpose, right? And we've thought for a long time that our jobs are our purpose, but it's not. Our jobs are a way that we can live out parts of our purpose, of course, but our purpose really and truly should be to grow ourselves, to become the best versions of ourselves, and to leave the world better than we came into it. However you're getting that done, whether it's through your job or, through your volunteering or whatever it is, who cares? But we all want to leave the world better than we came into it. And I'm telling you, if you can take your pain and you can put it into something that matters, you're gonna feel more in control. Just like you said, it was perfect, and also you're gonna be making a difference. You're gonna be leaving something to your kids and to your grandkids. It really, really, really helps to get involved.
Absolutely, especially if you're in the LA area. November 2nd,
and
they can go to the
you can go to the website, alz.org.
ALZ.org.
ALZ.org. And then if you want to sign up on my team page,
of course you do.
Mine and Ashley, so you can look up Nikki DeLoach, Nikki DeLoach, and Ashley Williams. We do it together. My friend lost her mother. Ashley, ASHLEY, Williams, WILLIAMS. So go find our team, donate, or if you want to do a walk in your own town, start your own team and get just a bunch of people to sign up and do it. It's a fun way to spend a morning with a lot of friends and also give back in the process.
Love it. Love it.
Thank you so much for having me on to
great.
talk about this.
Of course.
I just it means the world to me.
Are you kidding? I saw you sent that email. I was like, we're going to have her on.
No, it's so nice. Thank you.
We're going to talk some more.
Yeah,
That's
no,
okay.
I just wanted to say thank you. I was feeling really grateful.
Of course. We'll be right back. We'll be back with Nikki.
Listen,
We're back?
I'm not going to lie. I had the time of my life. Those nights are few and far beyond. We're talking about a friend of ours that we both know.
Yes.
Barrett Swadek, who was on Awkward. She played Aunt Allie. She got married last night. And
congrats.
Congrats, Barrett, to this wonderful man. He's the greatest. We love him so much. So we're so happy for her. And so the wedding was last night and the reception, and I don't drink that much anymore.
Right.
And I gotta say, I was feeling it. I was really feeling it this morning, for sure.
Lots of tequila, you said, right?
Oh, yeah. That's the only thing I really drink, tequila and beer. So it was like tequila all night, starting from like 3 in the afternoon.
I threw up from tequila years ago, and I still cannot even smell it.
Really?
It was bad.
It's the only thing I can really drink.
Wow.
For some reason, my body just like loves it when I do drink it. But yeah, I had the time of my life. Though. I will say I had the time of my life. It was worth every feeling that I'm having today. It'll take me about a month to recover. But it was so worth it. It was so much fun.
What's your hangover like? Is it like headache or nausea, or just like you just feel it in your body? You're like, I don't want to.
I just like, with tequila, it's different than a lot of hangovers. Like if I have one glass of wine, I feel it the next day because of the sugar. Tequila doesn't have the sugar the way other alcohol does, which is why I can drink it. Same with beer. It's really the sugar that messes you up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like, be careful and I don't add anything to my tequila. It's just like tequila on the rocks with lime.
Whoa.
Yes. Well. Yeah. So it's really just taking the sugar out of the equation. It does help the hangover. But like for me, if I would have gotten a decent amount of sleep, I actually would have been fine. So for me, it's more sleep related. Yeah. If I would have like drank and then gone home and gotten, 8 hours of sleep, I would have actually gotten up and been fine this morning. But I went home and got to bed at 2, and then our kids were up at 6:30. So it's like you've been drinking, and also you've gotten 4.5 hours of sleep. So that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, I think when
you have kids, it's a game changer in terms of going out because you can do it for sure, but the problem is that you're going to have to wake up the next day when they get up.
Yeah, I can't even imagine having children at this point. But I was going to say,
how does your hangover feel?
Like I got beat up. Like I just took
physically?
Like I took a jiu-jitsu class and like
and they beat the crap out of you.
I'm like, who did I fight yesterday?
Yeah.
Like that's what I feel. It's not a headache. It's never nausea. I mean, it's only been a handful of times.
Yeah.
But when the guys' night, especially the next morning, I'm like.
But those episodes are worth it, aren't they?
Oh.
So worth it.
I'm telling you. I'm surprised one of my friends is still my friend, Jonte LaGrosse. I prank him all the time. The last prank we played, we made him think he won a lottery ticket. No joke. This was before our Japan trip we took as guys. His face. Oh my gosh. Hey, if you can find the clip, we'll show her. Just because I love replaying this. One of the other guys' nights we did, it was a Halloween episode. And we told him, hey, before we start the show, we're all going to put on face paint for the Halloween episode. He's like, yeah, sure. And then I did his, and we've already been recording and talking, and then he's the only one with face paint on during the whole thing. He's just like...
It's the little things.
Oh man, it's great.
Yeah.
But they're totally worth it. We do spicy challenge too. Like we'll try to do like a game, no laughing game. We had a taser a few episodes. You get tased if you laugh.
So fun.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
That's awesome.
I need that time. I need some good friend time every now and then.
That's what I felt about last night. Like sometimes you have to just blow off steam and you just have to have a good time. Mm-hmm. To remember what that feels like.
Yes. Speaking of your kids and stuff, I know they're still young, but are you at all Concernicus about this day and age with the phones
technology
and them being on there and how easy it is for them to like, oh, maybe I'll say something mean. I feel like kids can just be mean so easily on their phones.
Yes, it was a big thing. I mean, even when I was looking for schools for my kid, I was like, we're in Los Angeles. A lot of the public schools are not where they should be. So my kid's at a private school because the public schools in our area are not great. And when I was looking at schools for him, I went and looked at a bunch of different private schools. I'm like, look, he's going to get a great education from any of these places. We're very fortunate to be able to do this with our kid. Like very fortunate. What place is going to help him learn how to be a good person, like a kind person?
Yes.
That's the place I want my son to be because the values that I am instilling in him at home, I want them to be continued when he goes to school. And so we ended up picking this school where like I just kindness first. Be safe, be kind. That's their motto. Be safe, be kind. And it's like, is there anything else besides that? And, you know, I talk to a lot of moms there, and that's something that they've definitely had to deal with, but not as much at this school. But I do worry about it. I feel like, you know, getting my kid outside is a big thing, like especially because I have 2 boys and they need to be physical and they need to play. And so I try to like keep them so busy that the tablets and the phones are something that we use when we like fly or in special occasions, because I don't want them to. Also, I've seen this new thing that's happening with kids that are younger where they don't actually know how to converse and connect.
Oh no.
You know, because they've had their head in a phone and they've been connecting through social media for so long that it's hard for them to actually like sit down and have a conversation.
Wow.
So yeah, it's something I think about all the time. I think, but also for us, like we all need to take technology breaks. All of us.
Yes, I think. But again, you have to start off having some sort of awareness of that to begin with.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's a lot of people's troubles nowadays. How do you get awareness when you're an adult and you've been spending, 25, 30 years of your life not being really aware?
Yeah.
How are you able to trigger that in yourself to at least start changing your life?
You have to hear it usually. You have to hear it from a podcast or a show or interviews or
True.
whatever. You hear people
That
talking
helps.
about it. It's in the zeitgeist. And all of a sudden it triggers something inside of you where you're like, oh, I struggle with that. I kind of feel that way. Oh, well, let me listen in on this. But, if you're living in a vacuum, you're not going to hear those conversations.
Can I tell you a really existential
Moment
awareness
you just had?
Yeah, well, I remember my first one I ever had.
Oh,
It was in 2nd grade.
amazing.
And I was running a race with some kid, and he cheated, and he beat me, and everybody thought he won. And I remember walking away crying and then going, whoa, I'm really aware of what's, like, it was like, I obviously wasn't
Yeah.
saying this in my head, but I'm like, I'm aware I am me, I am crying.
Yeah.
And it's almost, I was looking at myself like a third person. It was weird. I was like, this is like, I didn't know how
bet you
to,
can remember all the details.
I remember the jacket I was
Yeah,
wearing.
exactly.
And it was the concrete
Yep.
and the building and the forest on the side with the green thing.
Because it was a moment that mattered.
Yeah, and I was like, whoa, why? This is so real in my mind. Anyway, that just popped in my head.
Yeah.
Thought I'd share it.
Thank you.
We go on so many tangents on this show. I hope you don't mind.
I don't at all. Is this the video?
Yeah.
Oh,
is it.
dear.
So
okay.
this is already a couple, like a beer or 2 in, which is enough to
Yeah.
get me going.
Right.
And
Same here.
Dudes are going through Tinder.
Okay. Forward it a little bit.
For sure.
Yeah.
So this is the lottery video.
Yeah, and then now I'm showing him he won.
$5,000.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
So if you're watching this on
Am I
YouTube.
reading this correctly?
Yeah, but I don't know if the
sounds
others
off.
can't be scratched off though.
Skip ahead a little bit.
Oh, just put that to the side. Use this one.
Oh, well, you know what? I'll show you.
Dude,
Just,
you buying us Kobe beef in Japan.
Yes.
Uh-uh.
Yes.
Yep.
Dude, that's so.
On me, guys. On me.
I mean,
Let's do it.
I mean, it's almost unbelievable.
It was my birthday. It was my birthday. That's birthday money. Wait a second. Wait a second. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. Is it a joke? I knew it.
If you look on the back of,
Oh, my God.
Dude, after the show, he's like, I kind of am still angry at that.
That's a hard one to lose.
It was like 10 grand.
Money is hard to lose. It's like, because it literally could be such a game changer in your life. It's like, it's such a hard one to lose. If it was like food or like tickets to Disneyland, it would be easier. But like $10,000 is hard. That's hard.
I know.
That's really tough.
Anyway,
That's a little evil.
I know. I'm just, yeah.
Well, when you're so nice and you're so kind, you got to get your rocks off somehow.
Oh my gosh, a little bit.
You know?
Yeah.
I love it.
We'll
By
go
the way,
yeah.
P.S.
Yeah.
I totally forgot that you record. So for
Yeah.
all your audience out there, I'm wearing no makeup and I haven't brushed my hair since
Are you
last
serious?
night.
You look
So
great.
I'm so sorry. I apologize for what's happening on my face. This is my hangover drink, guys.
Nikki.
This is what's happening.
You look phenomenal. Let me just say
You're
that.
so sweet.
You look great. And if anybody else says anything, they're going to my block party. They're blocked.
You
Okay?
can say it. It's totally fine. I would be
No,
like,
it's not.
agreed.
No,
She
I don't
looks-
agree. We blocking them.
She looks rode up hard. Rode hard, put up wet. This is we have a saying in the South when
Oh.
like somebody just like looks like all kinds of crazy. We'll be like, she was rode hard and put up wet.
That should be a shirt.
Yeah, I think
That's
it
the
is
most
in the
South
South.
thing I've ever heard.
Isn't it so country? We have some great ones.
Wait,
yeah,
where are you from again?
Georgia.
Okay, I'm Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Yeah. Peyton, what do we got for some current events?
All right. Well, to start off with some weird ones. Where's my mouse? Oh, no, there it is.
Yeah.
Guinea pig.
Apparently,
ice cream?
guinea pig ice cream is becoming a cool new treat
In Ecuador.
in Ecuador.
What does that mean? Like the guinea? Do they make the ice cream? Are they the ice cream?
That's
Oh
a
yeah,
good
they
question.
use.
yeah,
They
it looks like they use guinea pigs.
Wait, but in what way? Like specifically, let's see. 40 servings of ice cream flavored with beetles. Oh, so this is something that she
So it's
does.
the meat. Yeah.
Also traditionally, oh, good Lord. I mean,
Oh, it's an ancient food.
the beetle
there it
and
is.
mushroom ice creams include fruits such as pineapple, passion fruit. Beetle ice cream has a slight aroma of wet earth. No crap.
The guinea pig is high in protein.
Oh,
So is a protein powder. Wow.
so is salmon.
Oh, wow.
That's so interesting.
You know, it is interesting, but it's also interesting. It's in Ecuador.
Yeah.
You know, when you go to other countries and you travel there and you see like what is appropriate eating, like eating, it usually comes down to like an animal, you know, where they'll like have the crickets and stuff like that
Yeah.
when you go to other countries and walk through the market and there's just like a basket of crickets that have been fried and you're like, I just can't do that.
What's the weirdest thing you've eaten?
I don't think I've eaten anything. I probably actually raccoon. When I was a kid, I didn't
Okay.
know it was raccoon, but like I'm like when I say I'm from the deep south, I'm like they killed and ate everything.
Yeah.
You know, so we got all of our meat from the farm and you know, corn and peas and tomatoes and all of that. So like they would literally kill and eat anything. And so I found out that, you know, I ate a lot of raccoon when I was younger,
Wow. Okay.
which is disgusting to think about. Yeah.
Sheep eyes, sheep brain,
Ooh.
and
Where? In Japan?
Syria.
Syria. Oh, yeah.
And weirdest, I guess the weirdest Eastern cuisine,
Yeah.
like Asian cuisine, would be squid guts. And that was disgusting.
Ooh. Yeah.
I did have something, cod sperm, which was,
Amazing.
it actually tasted really good.
Cod sperm.
Cod sperm.
So the sperm of a codfish.
Very interesting. Not sure how they extract it, but I'm sure there's an appropriate process.
Yeah. I tried to picture
Someone
that.
said I'm going to eat that.
Well, that's the thing. It happened. The sperm came out, and they were like, you know what we should do with this?
Yeah.
Digest it.
I'm going to put that in my
I'm gonna
mouth.
put it in my mouth.
Oh, well, actually.
I just don't like what
Yeah.
what the jump in that.
Right.
Like I'm gonna eat the cod and his sperm.
Yeah.
Take that, cod.
Jeez. That's, yeah. Yeah, that's very dominant
It
behavior
is.
right there.
Yeah.
The same thing with me when I think of people the first people to make cheese or something,
Yeah.
like anything that's ferments. I would be one of those people who be like, don't eat that. You're going to die.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
I'm not an adventurer when it comes to that stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, not anymore. I think
And also
that's-
guinea pigs are so cute. I just like couldn't imagine.
No.
I couldn't. What's next?
What do we got?
Well, I don't know for you, Nikki, how much you watch the Marvel Cinematic Universe. But Martin Scorsese has come out and said Marvel movies are not cinema.
Oh.
But here's the kicker. He doesn't watch them.
He hasn't watched
Wait, so
them.
he's
hasn't-
never seen them? But he's going to make a judgment on them?
Interesting.
Wow.
And one of the directors that's come out is James Gunn.
Of course, I knew James Gunn was going to say something.
He was outraged when people picked on The Last Temptation of Christ without having seen the film, and he's saddened to see that Martin Scorsese is judging his films the same way.
That's a bummer, when the older generation kind of doesn't give the younger generation a chance or something.
Yeah.
That's that would hurt me a little bit when like somebody I look up to looking at your films and be like, oh, but I was kind of influenced by you.
Yeah.
That's kind of it
That's
makes me
tough.
sad.
I know. It is. It makes me sad too because we often put our heroes on a platform, we put them up there and then whenever they disappoint us, it's a really hard thing to do. But like, what do you guys think?
I kind of don't agree with him. I mean,
who defines cinema? Like, does he have a definition for cinema? I mean, I thought it was just movies that are played in theaters. Like, I don't.
It's so interesting. The shades of gray, like you say, when you put your heroes up on a pedestal, they're just fallible. Everybody's fallible, but I don't know, man. That's a weird one for me.
Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, it is a bummer.
All right.
It is because also I loved Wonder Woman. I thought it was a fantastic movie and really well done. Is that Marvel? I don't know. I don't keep up with
it's still a comic book movie, but not Marvel.
Yeah, I don't keep up with like who's who, like the Black Panther and I don't know what all the other ones are. I haven't actually really watched them. I've watched a couple of them. That's it. Wonder Woman being.
He probably hates Wonder Woman too.
I saw parts of. I haven't finished it yet, just because I'm the worst at seeing stuff. Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. People loved it.
I was like, this is pretty entertaining.
Yeah.
This is much better than I expected.
Yeah. Well, his first one, Robert Downey Jr. What was the first first Iron Man? I thought was like one of the best movies like that I've ever seen. It was so exciting and entertaining. I can't honestly, for the life of me, how you can't like watch that movie and think that it wouldn't be cinema. Yeah. Anyway, Scorsese.
Right. Well, we got two things about the new Joker movie that has come out. Even despite all the controversy, it sets a new October box office record.
Of course.
It is estimated that it got $93.5 million from ticket sales this weekend, which last year's record holder was Venom. It got $80 million and knocked that out of the park.
Great.
Joaquin Phoenix, man, he's a phenomenal actor. He is. Ryan's going to see this afternoon, so he'll report back. But it's supposed to be fantastic. Have you seen it yet?
No, I'm waiting. Might see it with my manager actually. We'll go see it together.
Yeah. It's such a great character, and if you think back to all the incredible actors who have taken on that role before, I mean, it takes a specific type of actor to be able to bring that to life, like Heath Ledger, Jack Nicholson, now Joaquin Phoenix. I think they all belong in that, like, just phenomenal actors that can go to the places that role, needs.
Well, I already know what we're going to bring up for the last thing to wrap this up. So I don't know if you saw this interview. I'll bring it in on Peyton if you don't mind. Joaquin Phoenix was on Jimmy Kimmel recently.
Is this recently?
Yeah. Did you see this interview?
I did not.
Okay.
But I've seen some of his past interviews, so I know how eccentric they can be.
So kind of to save some time.
Yeah.
Joaquin is already the type of person I always sense he's a little uncomfortable. He doesn't like to do the press thing, which is fine.
Totally understand. It can be weird.
It's very artificial.
It is. It can feel really artificial, and it can feel like if you're a person who likes to live in a character, like even for me, like red carpets and photo shoots and stuff like that, I don't love them.
Same.
I don't love them. Like if give me a character to hide inside of, and I can play all day long, but if it's me standing on there with like a pretty dress and a pair of heels, I'm like, why are you taking a picture? Like you want to pick. You don't need a picture of me. It's fine. You can live your life without a picture of me. I'm just going to be inside at the bar. Like, it's uncomfortable sometimes.
Very.
Yeah.
Or you're waiting to get interviewed, and so you're just like,
Lord.
it becomes a little cluster, and you're just like, thank God I have my phone because this is so weird just to be like.
Yeah, and then there's the moments where like you can see your publicist talking to the person, being like, "It's Nikki DeLoach. If you want to," and they're like, "Yeah, we don't need an interview with her," and you're like, "Great, excellent. I'll be in the bathroom, like wiping the shame off my face."
Dude, when I see that,
it's crazy.
It's happened to me, by the way, so many times as well,
Same.
and I'm just like, this is weird.
It's the weirdest thing ever.
I get why people skip these now.
That's my thing, is that I think after that happens to you a certain amount of time, you kind of grow the skin where you're like, you know what, I don't want to put myself in that situation. So I get why people, with the interviews and stuff, sometimes why they don't want to do them.
So Mr. Jimmy
yeah.
was basically talking with him, and Joaquin was saying like, it was the normal interview. At a certain point, though, Joaquin talks about like how he actually liked breakdancing when he was younger, and he didn't really do it out in public, but he just did it. He liked doing it by himself because it was a way for him to express himself.
Yeah.
He was totally being serious. Yeah. Oh my gosh, what's his name?
Jimmy Kimmel.
Jimmy Kimmel, yeah. Jimmy Kimmel makes fun of it again, and Joaquin is like actually hurt. He's like, yeah, I know you're making fun of it, but it was actually something really important to me. Jimmy Kimmel kind of quickly changes the subject again, and they continue on the conversation, and you can just feel like Joaquin's like, I don't want to do this. This is uncomfortable. And then Jimmy goes, well, we have a little clip from you, like some behind the scenes outtakes whenever Todd sent this in. And Joaquin's like, what? And doesn't know. And do you mind playing the clip? So,
oh my goodness.
Apparently, just to give people some feedback, what's going on, the DP, which is the director of photography, kept whispering during his shots, like during action.
By the way, so annoying.
Yes.
It's so annoying. When somebody does that, when you're trying to focus and you're trying to be in the moment and you're doing this thing, and there's a lot of different things you're trying to like there's 100 people standing around you and you're trying to focus in. When people are talking during a scene, it is the most annoying thing on the planet. It's like, you really can't shut your mouth for like 5 minutes and let's just get through this, or like that's really bothers me.
It's not even 5 minutes usually, right?
No, it's like 2 minutes, because a scene is usually like it's what, a page a minute or whatever, and scenes are never like that long anyway. But like, yes, just please don't talk while I don't talk when you're doing your job, So
exactly.
Let me see this.
So he had asked him multiple times, hey, can you stop whispering while we're doing the scene?
Yeah.
And he kept doing it. And it's an intense scene. So Mr.
Or
Payne,
like in a Robert De Niro in Cape Fear kind of way, and it just seemed unpleasant to do. Was that the case?
No.
No. You had fun making the movie.
Yeah.
You did.
Yeah. Well, it was a light set. I'm Todd. Todd.
Todd Phillips is the director.
And he's really funny, and yeah, I feel almost guilty, but we had a really good time.
It's interesting that you say that, because Todd sent me an outtake reel, and we cut it down a bit, but, well, let's take a look at that and tell us what was happening here.
Just like the...
Now, what happened there? Who's Larry?
I cannot believe they sent that.
Yeah, Larry is the cinematographer. This is so embarrassing.
And did he call you Cher?
Yeah, look, sometimes movies get intense because you're a lot of people in a small space and you're trying to find something, and so it can feel intense.
this is so hard to watch and makes me so
supposed to be
upset.
private.
Yeah.
I'm a little embarrassed. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
So he
That
goes
is, by the way, that is such a breach of privacy that they did that they took those moments and they like surprise him on air in moments where he thought he was in a safe space and he was trying to create something and to bring something to life, and they took it. And I cannot believe that they did that. What a betrayal. I would have lost my mind.
I felt for me and my buddies, guys night, because one of them we do a class and we take anyway we love acting. We're all serious actors. We all got so upset for Joaquin, like he's on this.
So upset.
Like, dude, this guy. First of all, he's super nice. I know people who've interacted with him randomly on the street, and he's like the most humble guy ever. And he's like, I'm not a good actor. Stop saying it. Like, please, no, I'm fine. Like he's just so nice. And for them to do that, like, what, Jimmy? Do you need that many views?
It's really weird that Jimmy did that because I have to say, like, I know him. He is, well, yeah, he has a heart baby too.
Oh.
So his son has tetralogy of Fallot and has had, like, I think at this point in time, 3 heart surgeries, Billy. And that's surprising to me.
Yeah.
Because he's actually, like, a really good dude. And especially with everything that's happened with his son and with Billy and all of that, like he's really, like he was the one late night talk show host that, you know, for a while, talk show hosts at night were like not actually talking about serious things anymore. It went from like talking about like worldviews and actually having an opinion about something to like, you can't have an opinion about anything because networks don't like it because it affects advertising. And Jimmy was like, screw it. I've got an opinion about healthcare and I'm going to stand here and I'm going to say it. And it, you know, the rest of talk show hosts at late night, they all started talking about things that matter again. So like, he's really done wonders for that. And he's done so much in the heart community and donated so much money. And he's such a good guy that I wonder, like, if he thought that was going to play. Like, I wonder what he was thinking. Like, did he think that was going to play differently?
I see. I don't know. I almost, when I first saw it, I was like, this has to be a joke. But then I'm like, where's the joke?
There's no joke. It's just mean.
I'm trying to think in my mind. Oh, 1 minute. Oh, shit. Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah, I don't know. We're going to continue talking. I don't know what it is. I really don't know. We got to take a quick break.
Yeah.
Right? When we come back, we'll wrap it up. And yeah, we'll talk some more.
We're going to call Jimmy.
Call Jimmy. Yeah. All right. Yeah, you were saying, like, is this what the times have come to? Like, people just airing dirty laundry on air, or I don't know.
Yeah, are we? Is that where we've like arrived at now? Where like, you know, the cameras can be rolling, and there's no space is safe. No, nothing is sacred. Nothing is like. If it was me and I was that director, I would be like, he's in process. He's doing, you know what I mean? He's getting into character. It takes a lot to get into that headspace, and I think we also know that he's method. You know that when you hire him. So like in the in-between takes or whatever that is that he's having to experience, and that he should know that that is safe and that it's not going to be exposed. And the fact that they took it, but I think it's a part of a bigger conversation of like, you know, where's the respect? And I think people, you know, post a lot of things and like, are you asking permission? Like if it's of somebody else, you know, are you thinking to yourself, would I want this to be done to me? I think we just live in a world where people just will post so many things, and a lot of it is very exposing that they feel like, oh, everything's fine, but it's not. Like you have to ask yourself, like, how would I feel if this is done to me?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's crazy.
For my show, we've had one guest, and obviously I won't mention their name, but they asked, hey, do you mind if I listen to the show first before you put it out? Because we talked about something which I don't know if I phrased it in a way that would make me feel comfortable. I was like, absolutely. I'm not going to make you feel uncomfortable in any kind of way. And he's like, okay, cool. It sounds great. Awesome. Great.
I've done the same thing. I've done the same thing in podcast or interviews. I did Lance Bass's documentary about Lou Pearlman. Okay. If you haven't seen it, and you love boy bands and all of that, like you should see it. It's actually really well done. And Lance and their whole team did a fabulous job. But in the interview, there was something that I did say that I went back to him and I said, you know what? The people that I was talking about in that specific part of the interview are not in prison. They're actually alive and like still roaming the world. And I have 2 kids, and I think it should be taken out because it just makes me feel unsafe.
Yeah.
And he did. He was like, yes, it's gone. You know, but like,
see. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, but you're a good guy. Lance Bass is an amazing person. So like you're people that are treating others the way you would want to be treated. And I just, obviously that same context wasn't given to Joaquin in that interview because wow.
Yeah, I'm telling you, my friend Josh was Isaiah, because he has 2 names. That's a whole story. He was like, dude, this has bummed me out. He texted me later on in the day. He's like, this has really bummed me out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
But I
yeah.
also think that you have to have as a human being, it speaks to as well, like we're never taught what boundaries look like. You know? Not anymore. I mean, like, you know, do you sit down and say, like, this is what I'm okay with and this is what I'm not okay with and this is, you know, for me, I feel like this is crossing a boundary. Or I just had a conversation with a friend where I had to kind of call her out on something, and I had to draw like a very clear boundary, and I was like, yeah, that's not okay. Like, I love you, and also that's not okay. So the next time this situation presents itself, this is how I would like for you to address it. And I think that people are really scared to do that because we're just never taught, you know, to like call out our boundaries and what is not okay for us and what is okay for us.
Yeah, I think that comes with certain, like, and I'm trying to find the correct terminology for this. I feel like after living on my own for a certain amount of time and being really focused on my career, there were things that I used to be shy about that I'm not shy about anymore.
Right.
Because it's like, no, this needs to be addressed. Or, hey, like talking with my reps. It's a classic beginning actor in LA. It's like, I don't want to bother my agent. I want to ask him what's coming in and how do I just won't talk to him because it's an awkward conversation. It's like, no, you should, hey, can we set up a coffee? I'd love to talk about what I can do to maybe increase auditions on my end or something like that. You know, being a little aggressive about it, but in a professional way, I think is totally okay.
Yes.
But nobody teaches
You're
you
the
that.
You're the CEO of your own career. And if you can't be the one to do that, who's going to do that for you? And then also outside of that, like they make money off of you.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in this industry, something has happened over the course of, you know, I don't know how many years, because I started when I was 7, so I was young enough to have been in this industry. I've been in this industry long enough to have seen the change and the difference in how artists were treated even 15 years ago versus how they're treated today. I mean, it's vastly different. And I think that what has happened is that a lot of the agencies are like, we're going to have the power so that we cannot be held captive, you know, by anyone. And, you know, they've it's like almost been very calculated in terms of how they've kind of taken power away from the artist.
Yeah.
You know, I think part of this whole writers thing that's been happening now is no matter what side you're on, if agencies would have just been open and honest with them from the start about what was happening and what, you know, I think that like they would have been like, okay, knowing going in, so this is what it is. You know, you're packaging this, you're doing this. If they would have just been honest and open about, but that's not what happened. And then they found out about it later on and were like pissed and we're like, we have to drop all of our agents. But it's the accumulation actually of years and years and years and years of artists being treated like they're replaceable. And I just like, it's just such a horrible way to do business in a creative environment. It's horrible. It's become literally a business. And there are people that are holding on to the artistic aspect and they're really keeping that very sacred. But for a lot of the agencies and managements and lawyers and all of that, not as much the lawyers, because they're like, listen, my whole job is to get you the most money possible. So they kind of stay out of that. But for agents and managers, it's, you know, it's really become a numbers game and a business. And I think we have to kind of like take that back a little bit as artists. And I think we're beginning to, you know, so that we all have equal respect and know that like we're actually all on a team together, and I can call you out and I can come and sit down and have coffee with you and say, hey, what are you doing for my career?
Yeah.
I'm allowed to do that
100%.
as the CEO of my own business, which is me.
I dropped a manager a while ago before I stayed with this current manager I'm with, Steve Smith at Stagecoach Entertainment. And I had enjoyed working with my previous manager. I think he was good for where I needed to be at the time. And he's still doing great things and there's no hard feelings. But, you know, after a few months, I was like, oh, whoa, this person isn't working for me like they used to, or this relationship isn't what it used to be.
No.
Oh, I need to end this right now. While I know, because I saw what would happen with, and I was lucky enough to see my other colleagues and friends, they had reps that they just stuck with for years. And I'm like, and they haven't sent you out in any like.
Yeah.
When was the last time you talked with them? Maybe a year ago. It's like, whoa, that is
crazy. That's bananas.
I can't imagine that.
I just recently dropped my agency because I
Okay.
was like, I've literally, I for the last 8, 9, whatever since Awkward started in 2010. I was on a show for years, and then after that show, I basically was an incoming call situation, and they were getting no appointments for me. And I was like, how is it that you're making so much money off of me and you're not getting me any opportunities, and you want me to still keep giving you all this money? Like, have you lost your mind?
Yeah.
That's not the way. No, actually, that might work for other people, but that doesn't work for me. Because 10% of my money is a lot, because you're actually not taking it out of my mouth, you're taking it out of my children's mouth.
Exactly.
And so for me, that makes it personal. So what are you doing for your money? I want to know. And if you're not doing anything, then this isn't working for either one of us. Period.
Family aside, that's of course a great reason, but also just the business side.
It's the business.
They can't. They're going to be angry at you because, well, no, you should keep giving us money.
But also,
Nikki.
like, would you, if you were working at a bank and you were running a bank, would you continue if you were paying them and then they just weren't showing up to work every day? Or they were showing up to work, but they were literally not doing their jobs all day long. Would you continue to pay them?
No.
Would they continue to be, an employee of yours? Absolutely not. It's the same thing. But in the entertainment business, we've been taught as artists that we should just be cool with taking whatever shit sandwich we are given, and we should just be lucky enough to be in the environment or in the room or in the this. And it's like, no. We can't. There's room enough for us to feel gratitude for having an opportunity, but also for you to come to the table and realize that this is a team effort. There's room for both feelings.
100%.
Yeah. So I totally agree with you.
It's a balance.
Yes.
And you got to figure out which situations were for for at this point in my career, there are certain I wouldn't obviously we're not going to go for co-stars, right? But if it's like 1 or 2 lines in a Scorsese film, or you know what I mean?
They're
it's
in
like,
a heartbeat.
Oh,
how
cool.
many times do you want me to say this line? 40 times?
Right.
Great.
Am I the clerk? Awesome. I'll be the clerk. Just give me a name.
As long as it's not a Marvel movie, right? We don't want to upset Scorsese.
I'll take anything right now. I'm hungry.
Same.
Hungry.
Yeah.
Nikki, I'd love to have you back on at some point. Whenever you want to
Anytime.
come and talk about whatever, your next project or anything, this has been one of my favorite episodes. I'm so glad to hear your kids are doing well.
Thank you.
I wish you the best with your father, and I hope things go as smoothly as possible for you and your family.
Thank you.
Please say hi to Ryan.
I will.
I want to get lunch with him at some point.
Please call him. He would love that. He would love to see you.
And yeah, you're doing. Your kids are very blessed. They have one of the best moms out there.
Thanks, Wesam.
Of course.
That means the world to me. It's so good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. Mr. Payton, you know how to play us out, right?
Yes,
Okay.
I got it. I did it.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the show. Nikki will be dancing while I say my thank yous. To all our new sponsors and followers, thank you so much. Adobe Radio, thank you. Nice Sky Digital, Peyton, thank you. Steph, thank you. Nikki, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, man.
Walk to End Alzheimer's, November 2nd. Sign
right.
up. LA Zoo, if you're here. There's one more thing. Oh, we're not going to thank Michael. He wasn't here today. He'll do the editing for it, so I'll thank him for that part. And always remember to listen, think, and then talk.
I love that. I forgot that that's your tag. Listen, think, talk. So good. I remember when you said that the first time I did, when you were at that